streets of gold beyond the crystal sea. Mighty angels singing, and the redemption story. Some sweet day, I'll swing again the song of victory. Oh, victory, yeah, Jesus, my Savior forever. He's fighting anybody with his redeeming blood. Looking up the air, I knew him, and all love is to him. He plunged me to victory, beneath the cleansing blood. All right, y'all, I need you to be on point. Sing this over and over like this. Victory, victory, victory in Jesus. Victory, victory, victory in Jesus. Victory, victory, victory in Jesus. Victory, victory. You guys can be seated. Thanks for coming tonight, y'all.
Amen.
I have to tell you that every time I sing that song now, last year we did this conference thing, and there were 5,000 kids, and it was in this arena in Louisiana. It was crazy, and we hold on. This is important. I won't mess that up. We did all these songs, and we do the new worship songs, and we do a lot of old songs, and I literally had kids come up to me, and they're like, "Man, did you write that Victory in Jesus?" No, I wish I did. But I did not. And, y'all, I've been doing this now over 20 years, which is crazy to think about. I'm not sure who deserves the hand clap there. Probably a lot of people. Y'all, we've seen a lot. We've been around the block a few times, and I just have always sang these old songs. I mean, if you don't know my story, I grew up, the little Baptist church down the corner, and we sang out the old redback hymnal, and then all of a sudden, and like my youth group was like me and my cousins, and that was it. And I got invited to the big Baptist church in town, and they had this huge youth group, and they would meet in this garage, and I walk in, and there's just, what seemed like a couple hundred kids, just piled into this garage, and I don't know exactly how many, but it felt just like so many. And they've got a band, and I'd never seen that before, and they had drums. I didn't know you could have drums in the church. Nobody had told me. And I'm hearing this praise and worship stuff that I had never heard before. And it just rocked my world, because I grew up singing all these songs about God, and all these beautiful old hymns, and so many of them are just singing about God. And then all of a sudden, I'm singing these songs directly to God, and it just really changed my whole perspective on what this is like and what it should look like. And I go to, started coming to the youth group. I told the church this morning, I go to Dave Akers' Bible study on Wednesday nights, and it just blew my mind. And then, Steve comes along, and he's the youth pastor, and he just really invested in me and continued to do that even when I went away to college and started the band in college, and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, wait a minute, like I think I'm supposed to do this, and I had always dreamed of doing music, y'all, my whole life. If you had asked me when I was in middle school, I'd have told you I was going to be the next Garth Brooks, and I was pretty serious about that. And then, it's just, isn't it beautiful when the Lord just kind of changes your heart? And that whole music thing was still there, and just it looked different, and I didn't know that. And so I'm very thankful that I was open to that. I'm so thankful for so many people here who invested in me, and I'll tell you more about all that. But the first big thing that we ever did was a battle of the bands at the garage, and I'm positive that Chester rigged it so we could win. And it changed my life, because I was like, whoa, wait a minute, like I think I can do this, and it's just so many markers you think about. And I don't know that he rigged it, but I think he probably did, because he really liked me, and I ain't mad about it now. Time's passed, right? Like, is there a rule on Can we sing a few more old songs tonight? I love doing this, y'all. Here's what I have found. We've been to all these different types of churches. We've been so many just super contemporary churches. We've been to so many super traditional churches, because where we kind of do a little bit of both, we get invited to come places that maybe others don't. And this is what I have found. There's a lot of bad songs. There's a lot of bad hymns. You don't know them because we never turned to that page. Think about it. You're starting to think about it now. Like, well, wait a minute. There's so many bad ones. There's a lot of bad new songs. There's a lot of good new songs. And there's a lot of good old songs of the faith that have stood the test of time. And what I have found is the bad ones tend to go away, and the good ones tend to stick around. And we've been to so many churches, y'all, that become very traditional. But listen very carefully. I've been to very rock and roll churches that become very traditional. It has nothing to do with the music, but everything to do with, we get so set in our ways that we think, well, we have to do it this way. And then we just miss it when God's trying to show us, like, well, what about this? And that's my heart. I don't want to miss it. I just don't want to miss it. And so that's what we do. We sing some old ones, we'll sing some new ones, and then we maybe slide a few of ours in at the end. And that's kind of what a night looks like for us. So I'm the one that picks the order, so we're going to sing some old songs. well, but Jesus came and listened to me. Glory to God, He set me free. He set me free, yes, He set me free. He broke the bonds of prison for me. I'm glory bound, my Jesus to see. For glory to God, He set me free. Each day, darkness of night has drifted away. My feet are planted on higher ground. Glory to God, I'm overbound. He set me free, yes, He set me free. He broke the bonds of prison for me. Glory bound, my Jesus to see. For glory to God, He set me free. Things that confound, not all the world can turn me around. Daily I'm working, I'm praying too. Glory to God, I am going. He set me free, yes, He set me free. He broke the bonds of prison for me. I'm glory bound, my Jesus to see. For glory to God, He set me free. One more time, He set me free, yes, He set me free. He broke the bonds of prison for me. I'm glory bound, my Jesus to see. For glory to God, He set me free. Glory to God, He set me free. Oh, yes, He did. Let's do Precious Lord. This is one of my mama's favorite old songs, and we haven't done it in a while. Can we do that? All right, let's do it. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stay. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. won't linger near when my life is almost gone. Hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Appears and the night draws near and the day is past and gone, and the river I'll stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my precious Lord, lead me home. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Let me tell you real quick who these guys are, because you know most of them, but you don't know them all. I'll start with Eli. This is let's see, how can I introduce Eli? He is by far the most famous person on this stage. I'll tell you that. He went to the Huntington Mall today, and like people were stopping him to take pictures and they figured out who he was. True story. We call him the Prince because his family is the McCainies, and if you know Southern Gospel, you know the McCainies. They're legends, and his grandparents were on the road for over 50 years. And if you know Peg and that whole crew, I grew up just loving them. I've been watching Eli play guitar since he was a little kid. And literally, I just love them. I would drive and go see the McCainies by myself because I just loved them so much. And they came off the road and retired, and just through some mutual friends, they're like, hey, you know, I bet Eli would go play with you. And I knew he was an awesome guitar player. And so he lives in Clinton, Tennessee, just right outside of Knoxville. And he drove up to be with us this weekend, and he's been on the road with us a ton. And so we jokingly call him the Prince of Southern Gospel music, but he kind of is. But he likes playing with us because I don't make him wear a suit, so it works out great.
Yeah.
So y'all make our friend Eli welcome. I got him Rocky Top's cheese sticks last night. We're going to take him to Austin's, and I'm going to try to squeeze some pepperonis tonight if I can, just to give him the full effect. You know what I mean? It's only the right thing to do. Y'all remember our friend Aaron Crozier? Aaron has been with us going on 5 years now. How crazy is that? And he's the best of all of us, and we all know it, and we just love him. And so then this guy comes along. I mean, y'all know Jose was with us forever. He came off the road, and we're like, okay, what are we going to do now? And Rodney literally said to me, he was like, we need Jonathan. And I said, Jonathan can't do this, Rodney. It's not going to happen. He's in pharmacy school. I knew that. And I said, it's not going to happen. And so we didn't even talk about it. And we had another kid that was coming out on the road with us, and good kid. You know, we really thought he might be the one, and then Jonathan came and filled in one week in April of 21, and we were in Florida at this church, and we'd never been there, and just awesome Sunday, and he came in my hotel room. He said, I'm just going to tell this because it really happened. He said, is it like this every week for you guys? And I said, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, yeah, it is. He said, I want this band. I said, you can't do this, man. Like, one of my best friends is a pharmacist. Like, I know what you're about to walk into. Like, you're going to be a doctor. You can't do this. And he said, no, I've got it all planned out. Like, I'm going to work part-time at the pharmacy. I'm going to do music and travel, and like, I want to do this. And I thought, well, wait a minute. I'm very familiar with how the whole PRM thing works. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know this was an option. Like, you're thinking about that. Yeah, this is my plan. And I just thought to myself, nobody's going to believe me that I have a doctor in this band. And so he came out with us and just has been a godsend, and we have just been so thankful to have him. And y'all, the older I get, I mean, most of y'all know, I'm 41. It's kind of weird to have a 25-year-old on the road. Like, it really makes you think about it, you know? And this guitar strap is almost as old as him. Like, that's weird. But so thankful, and he's just been the best. And so we've been excited to come back, and because he's been on the road with us every week, y'all. We've been on the road a ton, and so we've been excited to come home and play for you. So give him some love. And then y'all remember our friend Rodney Mora. Rodney has been with me pretty much since I started. And he is just the best. And he wasn't with us this morning. If you weren't here, he was asked to be a godfather to some of his best friend's son, and they had already changed the date like 3 different times because we're on the road so much. And he was like, man, I can't miss this. And I said, we can go to Kenova without you. We'll be all right. And I knew he'd be able to come back for tonight. But y'all, I can tell you so many great things about Rodney. But let's do this. I don't know if we've ever done this. We're gonna play for y'all the first song that Rodney and I ever sang together. Back in the day, you know, we had all these old worship songs, and that's all we were doing. Like, I really didn't even do a lot of the hymns, and that kind of came a little later. But we were doing all these songs, and it really just rocked my world when I heard Rodney for the first time do this song that I knew, but to hear it in Spanish just. You know, like most of us do, if we admit it, we're real good at living in our little Christian bubble over here in Wayne County, and it just made me realize, oh my goodness, God is so much bigger than we just can ever wrap our heads around. And for whatever reason, that was such a marker for me when I heard him do this. Let's do this. Over mountains and seas, your river runs with love for me, and I open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I daily lift my hands, for I'm always singing when your love came down. I can sing of your love forever. 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 Sobre montañas sigue el mar, tu río corre para el mar, y al abrir mi corazón, el Salvador me realidad. Estoy feliz en la verdad, y a ti mis manos alzaré, por eso siempre cantaré, de cuando eres cristiano. of those songs become just markers for us, you know, and you know, for me it was some songs during that time. And then I think about for so many of you, I mean, songs like Because He Lives, I Can Face Tomorrow, and songs that are just markers, you know, and if we don't have new songs, I just wonder what that looks like for the next generations that keep coming, you know. And I don't know. I think it's cool that God does that with music, and we go through just different times of what it even looks like, you know. And I just love that. Let's do this. Can I let these boys just like really just wear one out for you, just to get it out of their system, because selfishly, I just love doing it. And there's so many times where we're leading worship and we're at these conferences and we're all these places where we can't really do this song, and so we can't tonight. So I'm gonna let them just show off for you. Just. feel like the luckiest guy in the world. I really do. So I didn't tell you about our sound guy back there. That's Chris Music. Chris has been on the road with me almost 10 years now, which is hard to believe. So, yeah. We always say he's the hardest working man in show business, and I think he really might be. Can we do a couple of our songs for you before we keep moving on? I'll do it anyway. I just thought I'd ask. How about a little Jesus is Coming? Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming again. There will come a day when our King shall come, coming in power and love. Troubles will be done. The trumpet shall ring sound. The groom will claim his bride. His children shall ascend. The dead in Christ will rise. Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming again. Oh, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming again. Coming back for his people, and only the Father knows when. Jesus is coming again. Like a thief at night, the twinkling of an eye. He'll come, and we shall go to our home on high. Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming again. Oh, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming again. Coming back for his people, only the Father knows when. Jesus is coming again. He's coming again. Are you ready? He's coming again. Oh, are you ready? He's coming again. I heard he's coming. He's coming again. Go on, get ready. I know he's coming. Go on, get ready. I know he's coming. People get ready. I know he's coming. He's coming again. Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming again. Yeah, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming again. Coming back for his people, only the Father knows when. Coming back for his people, only the Father knows when. Jesus is coming again. Let's do this. Somebody asked if the grass was greener, and I would be honored to share this with you. You just hope that when you do this, that y'all, I've made 10 albums, which is crazy to think about it, and we only sell 8 of them now, and people always come out to the table and they're like, "You said 10, and I don't want you to hear the first 2." So we only have 8, but we're working on the next one, and it's getting close. And we've put out a bunch of singles, and And you just hope that someday you put something out there that means something to somebody, and we've got a few that have, and this is one. I've gotten so many stories of people using this song at their funerals and all these things, which is just such an honor, and I just love it. And we've been lucky enough to get to be the ones to share it to the world for a while now. So we'll give you like a little acoustic version of Grass is Green. I'll lay this body down and wear a crown and walk around with you. These aches and pains will go away when all these troubled days are through. The grass is greener there with you. This bag of broken bones will have a home and they will dance for you. These blinded eyes will open wide to see the miracles you do. The grass is greener there with you. The grass is greener on the other side with you. The rumors that we've heard are not just words. The words we've heard are true. The grass is greener on the other side with you. These eyes that cry will one day dry, and they will look for you. This heart that sleeps will start to beat when men is given life with you. The grass is greener there with you. The grass is greener on the other side with you. The rumors that we've heard are not just words. The words we've heard are true. The grass is greener on the other side. The light is brighter on the other side. The grass is greener on the other side with you. So Rodney is, just an amazing talent, but you hear his story and you just, again, you think about just how big God is. I mean, if you don't know Rodney's story, Rodney grew up in a Christian home in Venezuela, which is not exactly normal. And he had his mom and his grandma raising him, and he had a sister that lived with him. And there was an American pastor who had married a Venezuelan woman, and they had moved back to Venezuela, and they were playing in church, and they were meeting in a downtown theater, and there were about 6 of them one day, and they were having their own little worship service, and they were praying for musicians, and this little boy walks down the road, and he happened to be carrying a little guitar called a quattro, and in my mind, his face was dirty and he wasn't wearing shoes, and I just feel like it makes for a better story. But he says that's not how it works. But he said he heard the song they were singing, and he recognized the hymn, and he just walked right in there and went up and and started playing with them. And I just love that picture because how many times have we been praying for something and it literally walks through the front door?
Yeah.
And we might miss it. How many times has that happened? I just can't even imagine how many times I've missed it. And so they realized God is literally, I mean, you're praying for musicians and a little boy walks in and starts playing with you. I mean, you know, you can't make that up. And so he had heard this pastor give a sermon and had encouraged him as a little boy to write his dreams down, tell God his dreams. And so he did. The only person he let read that letter was his mom. And his mom, like most moms would, when, you know, you just know that it's impossible, but trying to give encouragement. His mom literally told him, son, I can't give you these dreams. I can't send you to America to go to college, to study music, and I can't give you that. Maybe someday you'll get a good enough job that you can go take your family to Disney World for a day. That was their idea of America and like what it might be to experience America, you know, and that was the only thing she could think of to just give him hope. And so years go by. Rodney teaches himself to play piano, like a little plastic keyboard that you buy at Walmart. And if you know music, you figure it out. He's pretty daggone good, y'all. And he never touched a real piano until he came to America. But one day when he was a senior in high school, he was the worship leader of their church. And the pastor came to him and said, I don't even know if this is something you want to do, but there's an opportunity. There's these missionaries from this land called Kentucky, and they want to have you come live with them and go to college. They'll make sure you have a way to do that. And he did. And God was granting those dreams, and they were coming true right before his own eyes. And how beautiful is that? That sometimes God just does it. And I think often we just forget that he can do whatever he wants to do. And we are all better off for it that he was able to come here. He married a Kentucky girl and has been here ever since. And I'm the luckiest guy on the planet for that. And so we got just a few more. We'll let you go tonight and hopefully get to Brownies in time. But,
hey, what's the rush?
I would love for Rodney to share this one with you. I know we've probably done it, but it's definitely been a while. It's my favorite version of I Surrender All.
Yo me entrego, quiero serle fiel.
Keep saying 20 years is 21 now, because it's just crazy to think about. It just feels like yesterday that y'all know. I mean, you just blink and just crazy. So all these years, I've been lucky enough to get to travel and tell my story. And I never talked about my story growing up as a kid because I had it good and I knew I had it good. Some will tell you I was very spoiled. I don't necessarily agree with that, but other people do. I had it good, and I knew that. I recognized that from a young age, and so often when people would hear the story, the immediate response is always like, "Oh, you poor kid, you must have had it rough." And that's not exactly how it went, and so it was hard to kind of process. Like, oh, no, I had it really good, and so I never talked about it. And I would, if somebody asked me, I would tell them, but it just never was anything I ever talked about. And it wasn't even until I started this band, and we were in front of a little church one night somewhere in Eastern Kentucky, and just told my story. I had a pastor come up to me afterwards. He said, I don't think you understand what God's going to do with your life. But you got to promise me that you'll keep telling that story. And I did. And I started to see the impact that it had. And the cool thing was, like, it wasn't political for me. I was telling the story. And if you don't know, my story is this. My mom, at 15 years old, I'll say it this way for young ears, she was assaulted walking home from the pool one day. And didn't remember it. Months went on. My grandma had 4 other kids she was chasing around. And she told me, she said, your mom was my last kid I worried about. And she said, I just missed it. And My mom said, one day she told my grandma, I'm sick, I need to go to the doctor. And my grandma said, well, she's gained weight, we should take her to the doctor and see what the doctor says. And so they did. And the doctor came out and said, well, she's pregnant. And after the initial shock wore off, the best way I know to explain it to people is I had to pray at my mom. We said, we're going to go to church and we're going to pray. And that's what they did. And if you were to have heard her tell the story, she made it sound so simple. And I understand that it couldn't have been that easy, but you see, my grandma very much understood how big God is. She believed that He's so big that He wasn't surprised by me. Don't we think that when bad things happen sometimes? We think, oh Lord, as if He didn't know it was going to happen. And that's not exactly how it works. And so these things that we read in the Bible, that He formed me in my mother's womb and that He had plans for me, my grandma believed it with all her heart. And so I'm thankful to tell you that they chose life. And I remember them telling me adoption was very much the plan. And then when my mom heard my heartbeat, she told my grandma, I want to keep this baby. And I'm positive that my 15-year-old mama had no idea what she was getting herself into. But a lot of other people did, and including my grandma. And she said, okay, that's what you want to do, that's what we're going to do. And so my mom had me. She turned 16 a couple of months later. My earliest childhood memory, y'all, I show this everywhere I go. I found this picture years ago, and I remember this day. It was 1984 Buffalo High School graduation. I can picture the B in the old gym with the black and white hats flying in the air. I can picture it as plain as day. And so when I travel the country, I always tell people, we had these real pictures, kids, and the date would be printed on the back, and if you're real fancy, it said Olin Mills on the front. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And but the date was on the back, and it was my 3rd birthday. And it just hit me like, I can't believe this. How many people can say that your 3rd birthday party and your mom's high school graduation party happened to be on the same day? Not many years ago, I started thinking about that, and I thought, did I at least have my own cake? I really thought, how silly is that? That's only child, right? And I did. I was told often that I did, but that's my family. And my family made it very clear to me at a young age that, you don't have a dad, you don't have an earthly father, we don't even know who it is. But you have a heavenly Father who loves you more than you'll ever know, and just will continue to remind you that over and over and over. And it's always been enough. I don't know any other way to explain it to people, because as you can imagine, often when people hear that, it still happens to this day, y'all. I'll be on the road somewhere and somebody may be from Huntington, and then they're like, so okay, they want to get to know you, they want to see if they know anybody that you know what I mean. What's the first question they always ask? Well, what's your dad's name? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And then and then they start crying, they think they ruined my life, and I'm like, no, it's okay, I talk about it all the time. And so it's just hard for people to talk about it. And it wasn't for me. So I really believe that God has given us the platform that He has to be able to share that story. And I'll tell you one moment that just was a marker for me. We were just starting to do this. We were on the road doing a camp. We used to go and do camps. We did huge camps, y'all. I went to Fuge with y'all as a 9th, 10th grader. It was going into 10th grade, I think. And I didn't know what I was getting into. And then we ended up working it for 7 summers, and it was just crazy. But one of those first summers, we met a little girl at the camp. She had an 8-month-old baby. She was 16. We found out her story. My mom's were very similar. And I got to sit down with her and share my life with her and tell my story. And in that moment, I saw right before my own eyes that all that little girl needed to know was there was somebody else in this world who had been through exactly what she'd been through and made it. That's all she needed to know. And I just thought, I felt the weight of that. I can't believe that I get to share this. And you start to understand that God writes our stories, and that He was writing mine in a specific way. And y'all, I can tell you, so many stories of how God has used that, and it's sure not because I deserve it. You know, that's the beauty of it. I am more thankful than ever for His grace and His mercy. We've been lucky enough to get to travel around and partner with a bunch of different like pregnancy care centers and you know, ones that are just loving on these girls that need to be loved on. Because what I have found is there's a lot of people out there that weren't lucky enough to have a mom like my mom did, and we need to be moms. We need to step up and do that, and we need to do it more because we need to be louder than the world, because the world's loud. And you know, my heart is I see far too many people on Facebook telling everybody how bad they are, and we don't need that, you know, because what we all know is we're all bad and we've all fallen short, amen. And in God's eyes, there's no sin that's different. Don't we? You know, when we get real good about like putting it in, and it's like, wait a minute, y'all, we've missed it. And so I've just been telling people everywhere I go that I hope that we can step it up, because I go to way too many churches who have no idea there's a pregnancy care center on the corner, and they're doing nothing to help them. And those are the ones that need help. They need it. I met them. I know them, and they are in it, and they are doing an incredible work. And that's my heart. I've just been telling people, like, listen, we can talk about it all day long, but we need to go do something about it. So all these things can pass with our government, but if we don't do anything about it, and you know, like, then we've missed it. And so that's my heart, and that's what I've been telling people. And I'm thankful that God saw fit to write my story the way He did, and just more thankful than ever. And so I'll leave you with this. We went years trying to. I just couldn't find a song that I felt like just worked for my life and my story, and a friend of mine wrote this song, and I heard it, and I begged him to let me record this song, and he said, "Yeah, man, I think this song's for you." It's a beautiful picture of God's grace and His mercy, and it reminds us that He's constant, that He doesn't change, even in our deepest, darkest valley, even on our highest mountaintop. He's the same. And don't we just forget that sometimes? And I love this song. And we wanted to do a music video. If you haven't seen it, I'm so excited for you to see it, because Griffith and Files in it, y'all. Like, there's some famous things that are in this video. We just really wanted to kind of paint a picture of my life, and just so excited how it turned out. And our friend Russ Lee, y'all, I mean, I can count on one hand like the famous people that I'm like really good friends with. And Russ Lee is the lead singer of New Song, and he's one of the best singers on the planet. And he's an even better person. And we already had this song finished, and we played it for him, and he was like, "I want to sing on that." And I was like, "Wait, really?" And he was like, "Yeah, I do." And he's in the video. So if we got it queued up, which I think we do, you're going to see him and hear him in this video as well. And I will be so honored to leave you with this. I always forget to tell people, like, it is a big deal for us if you go to all of our social media and reshare these videos. I mean, it makes a huge difference, because we're totally on our own. And that's by design. We want to be on our own. But, you know, we don't really have Nashville helping us. And so it's churches all over the country who go get on our social media and share this stuff. And so it means a lot if you do that, especially with this video, because this is one we're going to ride out for a while, because I've already seen just so many cool things that God has done with this. And so I will be honored to leave you with this one tonight. It's called Constant.
There's faith in the valley, mercy on the mountain, grace every step in between. There's all I hold dear, lost in the fire, trusting in things